If you have knee pain when you train, or if you just want to make sure your knees stay healthy, today's episode of Technique Talk is for you. I've coached women in person for over 10 years, and I've seen a ton of different knee problems. Often with the techniques I'm going to show you today, my ladies can do lunges and squats for the first time ever without pain. I've also had a tendency to get a bit of pain in my knees all of my life, so I know firsthand that this works because I use these techniques in my own training to keep my knees healthy and pain-free. The most important thing you need to know is how to lunge and squat in a way that takes pressure off your knee. That's going to reduce pain and keep your knees much healthier in general. Today we're going to look at how that works in practice with lunges and squats, and then I'm going to bring it all together for you with some advanced variations of these exercises. So first, I want to talk about the forward lunge. In a forward lunge, as you step forward and lower your body, the momentum and body weight shifts onto the front leg. This forward movement creates a force on your front knee, which then increases the stress on your kneecap and the surrounding structures. So this force is what can cause knee pain. It isn't the only thing that can cause you pain, but if you address it, it's going to make a huge difference to your training. So the first thing I want to talk about then is exercise choice and alignment. Instead of forward lunges, what we want you to do if you have knee pain is to do reverse lunges because they typically cause a lot less knee pain. Reverse lunges cause less pain because as you step backwards, you reduce the force on your front knee, making it a much gentler option for the joint as compared to the forward lunges. The backward step also allows you to control your descent more, decreasing the impact and stress on your knee, particularly if you do them really slow and smoothly, which we're going to talk about more soon. Now, reverse lunges allow for better alignment of the knee over the ankle. This is really important. You need to understand this whole knee over the ankle idea. One of the biggest mistakes causing you pain is that your knees move forward towards your toes when you lunge or squat, which puts more pressure on the knee. We've just talked about that in terms of the forward lunge, but it can also happen when you're doing squats. Instead, what you want to do is you want your knee to always be over your ankle, not to be moving over your toes, but to be back over your ankle. And in doing so, that's really going to reduce strain on your knee. So watch your knees when you're doing squats and lunges. If you see them pushing forward, it's not wrong, but it could feel a lot better for your knees. I sometimes describe this as keeping a 90-degree angle with your stable leg. So if you watch my knee in the video, you'll see that it doesn't push forward at all. Instead, I think of lunges and squats as a sitting back movement, which recruits my glutes more and always takes pressure off the knees. When you use muscles like your glutes and your hamstring, it takes pressure off the knees, and most women want to target these areas anyway when training, so it's a win-win. So this same idea applies with squats. When I've coached women in person, I notice a very common mistake. When most ladies squat, they start with their knees moving first. So they end up bending at the knees and the knees push out towards and over the toes. Instead, we want you to move your glutes first and push them back. This is best demonstrated with a box squat, which I'm showing you today. If you watch the video closely, you'll see the first thing that moves are my hips and glutes pushing back, not my knees. Placing a box or bench behind you when doing these exercises really helps you understand and get this movement because it gives you something to aim for and helps to create that 90-degree angle with your legs. So if you have knee problems, this variation of the squat is likely going to be best for you. I've had ladies with chronic knee pain tell me that this is the only squat that they've ever been able to do pain-free, or at least mostly pain-free. And remember, not everyone is going to be able to lunge or squat to the full 90 degrees. So run with the idea, but remember, only go as far as feels safe for your strength and body. In fact, if you have knee pain, you may have to start with much less range of motion than you're seeing me do in these videos. And over time, you may find you can lunge or squat deeper without pain, but don't rush the process. The other thing we need to talk about is making sure your movements are slow and controlled. When you bounce up and down, when you move really fast, you're going to feel more pain because you aren't recruiting muscles like your glutes and your hamstrings to help take the load off the knee. But also because you are moving so fast, you don't have a chance to think about alignment and how your body actually feels. Oftentimes when you're doing an exercise and you notice a bit of pain, you can shift your weight and find a path through the exercise where there is no pain. But if you're rushing, you're not going to be able to find that path, and you'll be more likely to create a jarring pain rather than having a chance to move out of it. I talk about this in my videos all the time, but that's because it's so important. I guarantee you that you need to slow down your movements because almost everybody moves too fast when they're doing exercises. You'll also get much better results from your workouts because you'll actually be working the right muscles. And on that idea of finding a path where there's no pain, I haven't talked much about knees collapsing in when lunging or squatting, but obviously this would be an issue too. So keep an eye on your knees, and moving slow helps you do that. Now, if you're a beginner or someone with a lot of pain, it's actually helpful to hang on to something for balance, and that's going to help you practice finding that right position as well as moving slow. So don't worry if you need to hang on to something, especially in the beginning, until you build up the strength for these movements. Now, if you've got a lot of knee pain, you should probably stick to the easier versions we just talked about, to the reverse lunges and the box squat. But let's put this all together for you by looking at an advanced movement like a split squat. Now, as you watch me doing split squats here, you'll notice that I'm applying everything we talked about. My knee is at that 90-degree angle, so my knee is over my ankle and my knee is not pushing forward over my toes. And even if I change the lean of my torso so that I'm leaning more over my quad, I'm still shifting the weight back onto my glutes and taking pressure off that knee. The other thing I'm doing is I'm moving extra slow as I descend, but also you can see how slow and smoothly I transition back up from the lowest part. When I lunge like this, it is all glute and hamstrings working. There is absolutely no pressure on my knee, even though when you look at an exercise like this, you would think it would be really hard for the knees. Now, a lot of that comes from years of training and knowing how to shift an exercise into the muscle I want to feel, the whole mind-muscle connection thing, but you won't get that connection unless you move slow. So that is absolutely the starting point for everyone. The final thing I wanted to mention today is the overall amount of weight that you're lifting. You're going to find that the heavier the weight, the more likely you're going to feel your knees in a bad way. In my experience, there's a point when the weight is just too heavy, and then the exercise becomes all knees and joint pain rather than the right muscles working. I almost never feel knee pain anymore when I train, but when I do, it's usually because I've added too much weight to something like a box squat. That's why in my online training programs, we do a lot of body weight work or use light medium weights. By moving slow, by controlling the tempo of these exercises, they can be much more effective than if you do them with super heavy weights anyway, because instead of using momentum and power to lift, you're actually recruiting all the right muscles and can target trouble areas so much more effectively. So remember to check out my programs over on femalefitnesssystems.com if you want someone to help with your training. I actually give knee-friendly options in the notes of every single workout, just in case you can't do certain exercises. Finally, remember, if you are experiencing chronic pain of any kind, you should find a good specialist like a physiotherapist or a neuromuscular therapist who can assess you and give you an idea of what's actually going on and hopefully help you get on top of any problems. So that's it from me today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because that really helps me here on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again soon.